Welcome to the Kechi City Council meeting. Debbie, would you please call roll?
Here.
Todd Hester.
Here.
Kim Baldridge.
Here.
Teresa Moreland. Here. Paul Dwyer.
Here.
Thank you. This evening, we are happy to welcome Cornerstone Baptist Church to lead the invocation and pledge this evening. We have Mark Vasquez and Austin and Christy Shep. Please stand for this time.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for your protection and also for giving us the health and strength for to meet tonight, and thank you for the people that are here doing extra work, and they're giving their time to do all this kind of work on decisions and all of that, and also going to your word. Apostle Paul tells us to pray for all of those people that are in high positions. So we come before you to pray that you will give them wisdom, give them knowledge to make the decisions, maybe for tonight or sometime later on. We just ask that you will be with them. In Jesus' name we ask this. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. For those who don't know, Cornerstone Baptist Church meets on Sunday mornings in the community room here at City Hall. Okay, moving on. Approval of tonight's agenda. Is there anything to add? City Administrator Dempsey.
No.
Do you have any additions?
I do not.
Council, any additions? Do we need an executive session? No, you're totally fine. Anybody need an executive session this evening? Okay, so we're gonna strike number 11. I would entertain a motion, please.
I move we approve the agenda as written, with striking item 12, executive session.
11.
I'll second.
Do you guys have the 12 or 11?
Yeah, I have it at 11.
Okay, that's
On the
okay.
previous
So
page.
yeah, okay, it's number 11.
11?
Okay, motion by Councilmember Hedstrom, second by Councilmember Dwyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to the consent agenda. Does anyone want anything pulled from the consent agenda this evening? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Brewer, second by Councilmember Dwyer. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to the communications section. Do we have any Kechi City groups or committees here this evening to share? Nope. Okay. So we're gonna move on to committee announcements. Rachel. I was like scanning the room very quickly. Okay, tonight we have a proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month. So, Child Abuse Prevention Month proclamation, April 9th, 2026. Whereas every family and child is filled with tremendous promise and possibility, and we all have a collective responsibility to prevent adverse childhood experiences, foster the potential of every child, and promote positive childhood experiences. And whereas families who receive the support they need before a crisis occurs are better equipped to provide safe, healthy, and nurturing environments, leading to children who are safer, healthier, and more hopeful about their futures. And whereas primary prevention of child abuse and neglect can reduce the lifetime economic burden associated with child maltreatment. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families, and whereas investments in prevention initiatives such as home visiting programs, family strengthening policies, economic supports, and community-based child abuse prevention efforts are essential to building safer, healthier communities for children and families. Now therefore, I, Mayor Joni Harris, City of Kechi, do hereby proclaim April 2026 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Kechi and urge all citizens to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to the task of improving the quality of life for all children and families. Together, we can create a state where families are at the center, strengthened by programs, systems, and policies that help families thrive. Tonight, the Kechi City Council and Kechi City staff welcomes Rachel Harper, Prevent Child Abuse Kansas Assistant Director from Kansas Children's Service League, to speak on this important topic, as well as any guests she may have desire to share as well. The Kechi City Council also recognizes former Mayor Ashley Coleman, representing Kansas Department of Children for Children and Families. We thank you, Ashley, for requesting this proclamation to be read, a tradition you began while in office. In addition, the Kechi Water Tower is lit up blue for the month of April. Welcome, Ms. Parker.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us today and for signing the proclamation declaring April Child Abuse Prevention Month. I'm Rachel Harper, the Assistant Director of the Prevent Child Abuse Kansas chapter at Kansas Children's Service League. Kansas was the first state to establish its own chapter 50 years ago. KCSL is also the Kansas chapter of Circle of Parents and a multi-site system of Healthy Families America. April has been recognized as Child Abuse Prevention Month since 1983, with the blue pinwheel that you all have adopted as its national symbol in 2008. Each year, KCSL, along with our community partners, coordinates statewide activities, provides support, and strengthens local efforts to raise awareness. Together, we work to foster community action and promote policies that ensure the safety and well-being of children and families. The national theme for this year's Child Abuse Prevention Month is Pinwheels of Possibility, celebrating the limitless potential of children and families when communities come together to support them. The spinning pinwheel, shows us what support can look like when families are in the center, and each turn represents the networks, programs, policies, and everyday acts of care that strengthen them and help them thrive. From home visiting to health and economic policy, every turn unlocks new possibilities, showing how supportive systems and communities expand what's possible for every child and family. In many ways, the pinwheel is a call to action, highlighting the shared responsibility all our cross-sector partners have in centering families. Families, communities, policymakers, and organizations must work together to provide economic and social support, including affordable childcare, paid leave and financial stability, community-based solutions, ensuring access to local resources and networks, and stronger prevention policies with investments that uplift families before any harm would occur. Prevention isn't just about avoiding harm, though. It's about centering opportunities for families to thrive. Positive childhood experiences include stable relationships and nurturing environments, help children thrive and mitigate adverse childhood experiences. During the past year, KCSL and our community partners have been working hard to continue building a strong community in all of Sedgwick County. The Wichita Coalition for Child Abuse Prevention continues to focus on projects using data to create action. The Community Awareness Work Group has recently been working with the Wichita Police Department, Sedgwick County Sheriff's Department, and Wesley Hospital to provide information and access to gun locks at community events, with the focus being on keeping children safe in homes where firearms are present. They were able to distribute approximately 150 gun locks to families during this community effort. The Child Care Work Group, headed by Tanya Bullock, who is the Child Start CEO, and Mandy Waugh, who is Early Childhood Connections Program Director, worked with other leaders from the Workforce Alliance of South Central Kansas, the City of Wichita, SHRM Wichita, and All In for Kansas Kids to hold the business of care tackling child care through workforce innovation. This was a free event designed to strengthen connections with local and regional employers while highlighting the critical role that childcare plays in workforce stability and growth. The 120 attendees from 60 plus businesses explored childcare actionable ways to support local needs that employees are facing, such as accessibility and affordability, in addition to working on the development of a replicable model that other regions in Kansas could benefit from. So prevention is hard work, but it's also hard work. And so to celebrate Child Abuse Prevention Month, you can help plant a pinwheel garden, a visual reminder of the world we want all children and families to grow up in. You can also wear blue. Tomorrow is Wear Blue Day. So everybody wear your blue, take those pictures, post them on social media, tag KCSL in those with the tagline, Pinwheels of Possibility in Cat Month, Kansas. And again, thank you for inviting us and for signing the proclamation.
Thank you so much. We're gonna take a very quick break, because we like the whole council to take a picture, so that we can show our support from the city of Kechi for this very important proclamation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew
I
said I
don't think you
didn't
have to
need
recess,
to.
we're just coming out to take a
Okay.
picture.
I
just wanted to make sure.
I did ask Casey. Yeah.
Okay.
Totally the tallest.
I can share some.
I was.
Thank you. Thank you again.
It's been around a long time.
Council, are there any community announcements that any council member has at this time? Okay, seeing none. Did you have something, Paul?
Well, do we have a park board representative that's going to present later?
It does not appear so. Would you like to do that now or as part of the playground update later?
That would be.
Okay, great. We can do it then. Okay, so a few community announcements from myself. Kechi Park Board has an open seat. If you're interested in serving on the Kechi Park Board, please contact Mayor Joni Harris at jharris@kechiks.gov and share why you desire to serve on the park board and what you're passionate about. Meetings are held the first Monday of each month at 6 p.m. at City Hall. This Saturday, April 11th, is Kechi's citywide spring cleanup event at the Anderson property. This is your opportunity to remove trash items from your property at no cost to you. Check the city Facebook page. Is it on the city website as well? What is not accepted? Or is it just on the Facebook page?
We'll make sure it's on, I think there's information on the city website.
Okay.
We'll make sure it's all updated.
There's a few exclusions. Dumpsters will be available from 8 to noon. This year, there is currently no shredding event for April 11th, but the city of Kechi hopes to get one scheduled and will get information out to the community. This is your reminder to send in your natural gas survey by April 30th to be entered into the drawing to win $100 off your utility bill. And finally, our first quarterly community conversations with Mayor Joni Harris and up to 2 council members is scheduled for Saturday, April 25th from 8 to 10 a.m. in the community room. Donuts and bottled water will be provided. Stop at Jumpstart to support a local Kechi business if you desire coffee, or bring your own hot beverage, your morning hot beverage to enjoy. We look forward to seeing you and having conversation. My apologies, I'm dealing with allergies right now. Okay. There's nothing else. We are going to move on to addressing previous public comments. And prior to City Administrator Densby sharing, Councilmember Moreland has asked to speak first.
In response to some of the comments that were made, I've had several people reach out to me. I just want to say I have been a proud Kechi resident for going on 24 years. It'll be 24 years on July 19th. In that time, my husband has served the city both in voluntary roles as well as 17 years as our floodplain zoning administrator, subdivision administrator, until he retired in 22. We raised our kids here. My son served at least 2 summers here as summer maintenance work. Both myself and my daughter have served on the fair committee for numerous years. I have volunteered a lot in this community. I have served in roles from a substitute clerk to the deputy clerk, the city clerk. I've even had to substitute as the court clerk for 2 months. In that time, I will be honest, I've made mistakes. Do I know all of them? No. Have I tried to correct the ones I've made? Yes, I have. When I knew them, I tried to correct them as best I could. I am not perfect. I never will be, but I will say that my heart has been Kechi for as long as I've been here and even longer. I have always been dedicated to serving the community, whether it was in a voluntary, a paid, or now an elected position. I appreciate those of you who reached out and supported me during my campaign, that you asked me to serve you, and because you asked, I answered. I will continue to answer that call. I thank you for your support, and please know that I will listen. You are in my heart, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
City Administrator Densby.
In response to comments at for the public comments last time, the question was asked is, does the city do backgrounds on candidate employees? Yes, we do. We have an internal system where the department head, people who are in charge of HR and myself, I'll make sure that the background checks have been run on those people. We're incorporating it into our new personnel policy manual that will be presented to you when we get it done. So just be assured those are in place, and we do background checks on.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment. Debbie, do we have public comment this evening? No. Okay. Moving on to unfinished business, number 8A is playground project update. Would you like Paul to go first with his report, or would you like to go first?
Yeah, either way, Paul.
Well, you got it.
Okay. I
have some rudimentary notes here.
Okay, very good. I talked to Connor this week, who is in charge of the fundraising for the park project. He told me we had $27,600 donated up into this week. This week we have had $9,000 donated, which brings us to $36,600. With the $40,000 grant we received from the state, that brings our total to $76,600. The one thing Connor wanted to stress is that you do not have to contact him to donate. You can donate online through the Zephy app. You can contact us here at City Hall by bringing a donation by or calling us, but Connor was very adamant. Just because I'm leading this, you don't have to contact me. But people are happy to. There's some flyers that we'll put out at the front desk at City Hall. Council, you have copies of the flyers that he made up there that we can get you extra if you want to pass out to people. But now is the time to donate. They're running hard trying to meet their goal for the donations. And the only thing I can say is donate your money or your time or your services. Paul?
I didn't hear you.
Oh, I said go ahead.
Did you say something? Oh,
If you had something.
I really don't have much to add. I just, if anybody's interested in the recap,
there's a pre-construction visit on 4/28. And this is obviously new information that Mr. Jensby has provided. But at the time of the park board meeting, we were at 57% of the goal. 65% is the deadline for the 4/28. The letter and flyers that are going out, if you wish to participate in distributing those, that's a possibility. If you want to do that, reach out to me or Connor or anyone on the park board, and they'll be happy to get those for you. We're getting close. We're almost there. So don't lose sight of the prize. There were a number of things discussed. Food projects, they seem to be on track, but we could always use some more. So in that regard, if you're willing to donate some sides, things like that, to help people that are working on the project, that would be fantastic. Excuse me. Joni brought up, or Mayor Harris brought up that she requested a representative from the park board, at least the first meeting of every council meeting of the month, show up to give us all an update. I anticipate that to be the case moving forward in some way, shape, or form. If not, I'm happy to step in and fill that role if necessary. The other topic of interest was the zip line. Because it was a cost in excess of the main project and it came from a different source, that may be something considered for phase 2. So I think that's probably a good idea. That could help keep things in perspective when it comes to achieving the goals that we're looking for. And that was about it. If anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but if to the best of my ability.
I would like to thank both Connor and Lydia for all the work that they're doing. When I talked to Connor this week, we were just talking about the whole fundraising, and he is truly an expert in fundraising, especially for this stuff. He is confident that we will meet our goals or their goals that they have set. And I think we need to remember that even though this is his full-time business, he and his wife are donating 100% of their time to do this. They come to the park board meetings, they give updates. I talked to him about coming to the city council meetings. We feel that's a little bit of a burden for him with all the time he's putting in and having a family, so he will continue to provide me with updates. And we have Paul, who attends the park board meetings as the liaison for the city council, who can bring this information back to, if we're not able to have a representative from the park board here. Same with the park board, they've been doing double duty, making sure that we're getting what we need, making sure the committees and boards are put together and trying to get people to donate to this cause. So very impressed with what they're doing and what Connor and what you're doing. So if you see them, tell them thank you.
Yes, thank you for everyone that is working so hard, Park Board, Hamptons, and others, those who volunteer to help with the community build. I have submitted a number of questions for accountability and transparency on the project, and I'm hoping that you'll have that all for a full presentation at the April 23rd meeting, so that the community can see all the numbers, all the things, including the deadline goals that we have for monies raised. The 65%, what is that based off of? That has to be completed before April 23rd. What numbers
Well,
is that being
that's
based off
something specifically I need to ask Connor. Your question came up after I talked to him this week. So I don't know if that's based on the full funding or just what they're trying to raise, the fundraising portion of it.
of? Okay. And one of the questions I've asked to have answered is, what are the deadlines that we have for funds raised, for the community build to be able to go forward,
Yeah,
as planned.
I think Paul just touched on that. April 28th, I believe, is the date that Connor set.
That's
So-
the 65%, but there's still 35% more funds that have to be raised
Yeah.
before.
He didn't say anything about a final deadline. I think he kind of wants to wait and see where we're at that point. Once we maybe get some corporate donations coming in. It was kind of my impression he doesn't want to set a deadline of a drop dead date because we will always take donations towards our park.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
but we have that other thing, but we have to pay for the project as well, so making sure that we have the ability to pay. We've committed $310,000 of city dollars, taxpayer dollars, and just wanna make sure that we're accountable and holding ourselves accountable to our taxpayers, in the whole project. And then, you have my whole list. I really appreciate that you will have a full presentation so that the public can see, that everyone can see where we're at, what our deadlines are, and our contingency plan, if for some reason we didn't raise all of the funds, what's our contingency plan that would be before the council.
Yeah, I'll provide all that
consider.
information for you.
So I would really appreciate that at the next meeting. We are just 8 weeks out from the planned scheduled build of the playground. One question, maybe you can answer this. There's been different numbers of how much money we have to raise for the playground. Can you talk about what that is, or is that something that will be included in your presentation in
Yeah, I
2
can
weeks?
include it. Some of the extra costs, I guess, they had in there were for like sundry items for the playground materials. I know he had talked about they were hoping to raise additional funds to help the city support maintenance, ongoing maintenance of the playground. So that exact fundraising goal includes what we need for the build and extra. They're shooting high on it.
So we'll have a whole detailed spreadsheet or information at the 23rd meeting that will help us see.
I don't know about a spreadsheet, but I'll have as much information for you as I can.
Okay, I just think it's important. It's a big project.
Yeah, and we can get a
of
lot of
dollars.
that information from what's presented at the park board too, because Connor and his wife come to the park board and do an update on that as well. So I'll probably pull a lot of that information from the presentation of the park board too.
Okay, just really appreciate that we have everything for accountability and transparency. So, thank you for that. Because this isn't an action item, council, I did communicate that we will now be doing a motion to receive and file. So anything that's not an action item will be recorded in the minutes. So I would entertain a motion to receive and file this update.
I move to record and file this update.
Yeah, could you be a little more specific on what you're wanting from us? A couple meetings ago, council had voted to do action items only in an effort to prevent redundancy in.
That's just for, recording what has been shared. This is like to record the update for the project, what was shared, that Paul shared an update from the park board. I just wanna make sure that we have information recorded in our minutes, that there was an update for the playground, and that we're expecting to have a presentation made on April 23rd for more information and transparency.
So you're talking about the park itself, not the council meeting in general.
I don't understand your question, but
I think is what she's asking is just similar to what we would in communications, a summary, or just a statement saying that, yes, we discussed it. So for future reference, we can say, yes, we did discuss that. We
On
don't
every
need to-
meeting or just
just when there's a receive and file motion,
about the park, the
just
way you
about-
just talked it.
about what we
the
just
park.
talked about. So
yes, just a summary.
at the future meeting, we actually have a record that we discussed it, because, for instance, in the minutes for today, there is no record whatsoever that we discussed the budget items.
It's
Correct.
being
There was-
recorded.
Excuse me?
It's being recorded.
In the minutes, there was no record of the budget discussion.
That's correct.
That's all I'm saying, is in the minutes, We want just a record that, yes, it was discussed. Because there are times in the future where we have had to look back and say, when did we discuss that? And we don't need all the details, but just that, yes, we did discuss that. That was part of our, it was on the agenda and we discussed it.
Okay, we'll make sure that's included. We'll figure out a plan.
Yeah, that's a motion to receive and file, where you're just taking in information, but you want it recorded that we
Sure,
received
yeah,
information.
that's fine.
So, I have a motion by Councilmember Moreland. Do I have a second to receive and file? Motion fails for not having a second. So, council, I would just remind you, I am focused on communication, accountability, and transparency with the citizens of Kechi. Okay, moving on. New business. PEC design agreement, 61st and Woodlawn widening. City Administrator Jensby.
Mayor and Council, the item before you is for kind of the first step in the process of widening 61st Street in anticipation of Casey's General Store coming in. Last year, there was informal discussion with the council to proceed with seeing what it would cost to widen 61st Street as part of the project. When we were in discussions with Casey's General Store, there is a lot of site work that needs to be done out there on that site to bring the store in. The grade needs to be brought up. There's a lot of other on-site work that needs to be done. And their ask of the city was assistance in widening that portion of 61st Street. So through those informal discussions, we proceeded down that road. What you have before you tonight is the first step in that process to get us as the city what we need to know what it's going to cost to widen that road so we can figure out how to fund it. The second part of that is so Casey's Corporation can finish their engineering of the site so they can know what grades to bring that site up to align the drives in the streets that will connect that and other utilities.
Before I open this up for council discussion, when did that informal discussion take place last year?
I would have to pull the exact date. There was no vote taken on it or anything like that.
Okay. Is this an ask of Casey's, or so Casey's is asking us to take on a capital improvement project? Was any of that reflected in the 2026 budget?
It was not.
Another question one moment, just I have one more question, and then I'll let you go. Was there a reason why you didn't come to the council seeking their approval to move forward to creating an agreement with PEC for a design phase?
Yeah, at the time we were under a verbal non-disclosure with Casey's. We could not discuss it in an open meeting.
I understand you couldn't discuss the business itself, but could there not have been a discussion about a business considering relocating and that they're also seeking to have capital improvement done to a road at the city's expense?
At that point, there could not.
So once you were free from that agreement, why wasn't there a request at that point from the council as well that you then could move forward? Because it's been a little bit of time now.
Madam Mayor, this is the request.
Okay.
So,
Just a second, council.
Nothing has been committed. This would be the first step.
We are not committing city funds to widening the road. Number one, we don't know what it costs, right?
Correct.
And number two, any funding, we need to identify how to fund that, whether it's through, cash reserves or we're gonna bond that or how we're gonna do it. Before any decision would be made, it would be brought back to council to decide that and for your approval.
Is that dependent, is them actually building contingent upon the road being widened for them?
Yes.
So this isn't really a yes or no we can't turn it down because then we lose the business. That's what is put before us.
It's the council's decisions.
Exactly.
We can't turn it down, then they do something.
If the city says we don't wanna pay that much for it. But let me preface that with, in our discussions with them, number one, we have a very good working relationship with Casey's. And we know that they
No
are
issues.
committed to investing in our town, which we're really happy for. We have asked as the city for a developers agreement prior to doing any major reconstruction of that roadway. And what that developers agreement will do is ensure the city that yes, Casey's store is going to build on that site. We are not going to spend any money to improve the roads in that area without an agreement in place to know that they are coming. We don't want to make improvements and then have that lot set empty for the next 10 years. So there are assurances that are going to be put in place before we make any major decisions like that.
Okay, the other thing I would request is when this does come back, that you also include the impact that this would have on our current capital improvement projects. Okay, and I will open it up to Councilmember Moreland.
I guess my question is, when I look at like, when we had the Rock Point addition and the road had to have work done, that was a part of the specials for the development. Is there a reason why this isn't being part of the specials if the reason it's being done is for this business and this business only?
Yeah, it was in our agreement, more discussions with them that that was part of what the city would do in exchange for them building on that site.
Was that a council decision?
No, I just explained that.
Okay,
And at
so
this point, there's been no council decision, of course. If the costs come back and then that will be a continued discussion. And if you decide that you want, we won't do the project unless Casey's contributes some portion of it or gets assessed against their
So that-
property, then that's a decision you can make in the future.
but that part has not been discussed as them being responsible for the infrastructure that's required for their business that's not required otherwise.
I don't know what's been discussed or hasn't been discussed with Casey's, but nothing binding has been decided by the council one way or the other. So you still have all the decisions to make on that.
And I guess when it says the planned widening, I hadn't, as far as when we did the downtown project and we had discussions and community input and we looked at what the phases of that would be. I know that this wasn't on the horizon, but I feel like I was not aware that this was a planned widening. And so this took me kind of by surprise. And what is the funding source for the $21,000 or almost $21,000? Where is that funding coming from in the budget?
Yeah, that would come from our capital improvement fund.
You stated that wasn't budgeted. So.
What?
So it was in the budget or it wasn't in the budget for
No,
these costs?
it was not. When I contacted our financial consultant, as we do in these cases, and say, where can we pull this money from? That's where he said it would come from.
So then for this 20,000, what has that impacted what's already in the capital improvement plan?
Nothing.
If I may, if I'm hearing, I just want to do a hearing check real quick. This is really an authorization to do an investigation to expense. And then we have an opportunity to make a decision versus whether that investment is going to return to the city to make that capital investment a worthy investment or not.
Correct.
So
And
that is
is-
something that we would determine as a council body on whether or not that is actually the case.
Correct. And gives us
Because the
staff-
revenue on that could be substantial
Correct. And it gives us
versus
staff
the
to operate.
investment. But then we also have to consider if that's something that we want to do as a city. And I think that that's something that all of us need to decide together. And ultimately, the numbers need to come out and everybody needs to look at it. What kind of revenue could we get from that type of capital investment versus what we're putting up front?
Correct.
Am I mistaken on that?
You're spot on. Yes.
Okay.
And there will be, you're exactly right, this is an engineering contract with PEC to do preliminary designs and give us estimates on how much the project would cost to do. There will be 1, 2, maybe even 3 times this would come in front of the council again in various forms before, the final decision to move forward was made and how to fund it and those kinds of things. This is very, very preliminary first step.
That
You
was
can
my
figure out what we're
understanding
looking
of the entire thing.
Yeah, we have to know our costs before we can make recommendations
Exactly.
to the council as to how we're gonna fund that. Or if you want to.
Any additional discussion on this item? Then I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve PEC agreement as presented and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Brewer, second by Councilmember Hedstrom. Is there any final discussion before the vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to council reports, discussion, and requests. Council, are there any reports to be shared? Okay, go ahead. Okay, I'm gonna do my report first and then we'll move on. I attended the KRWA conference, which is a Rural Water Conference in March. I am still in process of putting together a short presentation as I think it is important for elected officials and the public to hear about the importance of this conference and about those who work in the water and wastewater field throughout Kansas and their role in public/community safety. I was truly in awe as the majority of the 2,400 attendees work directly in public works or rural water districts, and while they attended a 3-day conference, they were also staying in touch with their service areas and responding to call needs as necessary. I witnessed our Kechi Public Works Department return to work on Thursday afternoon at the close of the conference and get to work in serving our community. Thank you to our Public Works Department for working tirelessly for our Kechi community. You are truly appreciated. I have been attending the monthly PEC engineering meetings for the City of Kechi along with City Administrator Jensby and Council President Hedstrom. These meetings are now planned to be quarterly. Today, I attended the REAP Lunch and Learn meeting, which was hosted by Canvas Aviation Museum. After a short but highly educational tour of part of the museum, the focus of today's speakers highlighted the strength of our regional aviation ecosystem and the important role it plays throughout South Central Kansas. Attendees also received current updates for the legislative veto session regarding Governor Kelly's alternative proposal for tax reform and brief information regarding HB 2745 that is continuing to be worked on. Attendees today were also reminded of the upcoming high school career fair for government agencies and local businesses to participate in seeking summer employment opportunities with local high school students in the form of summer jobs or internships. The Momentum Kansas Career Fair is being held April 22nd at Century 2 from 8:30 to 2:30. This event connects 10th to 12th graders with 200 plus employers in our region and is a great opportunity to strengthen our regional workforce pipeline. Attendees heard an update regarding passenger travel statistics for Eisenhower Airport with more to come regarding expansion plans of the airport. Kansas Aviation Museum is committed to promoting the aviation industry in Wichita. One highlight is their commitment to offering summer camp for school children grades K through 6 with early exposure to the aviation industry through a variety of experiential opportunities and skill building. Council, is there any discussion or request items?
We have the tentative budget calendar, and I just wonder, do we have an idea of when our audit will be completed and we will have an audit report so that we can know what our 2025 fiscals were moving forward prior to accepting the budget?
Yeah, we hope to have that done before June. They're working on it right now. We started extra early this year.
Okay.
And they're working towards that. Yeah, I was going to talk about that next. So in front of you, you have our tentative budget calendar. One thing that's not on there is prior to the June date, it is my goal to have a goal-setting meeting or workshop for the council prior to that date. I've been talking to Ty Lasher, who's the former city administrator in Bel Air. He started GovGuide Consulting, and that is his specialty, is coming to city councils and doing goal-setting workshops with them. So he and I have been talking. We're going to kind of set the scope of that and hopefully get a date set so we can do that as the first part of our budget cycle. But as you can see, our budget calendar somewhat mirrors last year. We have 3 different workshops, one to cover capital budget, utility funds, and special revenue funds. Another one to cover general funds, bond and interest funds, and then the third one, which on here it says an option. We plan to leave that on here for further discussion and the option of for additional workshops if we need. So
The one request that I have, and I don't see it on here, is that we have each department present their budget request for the year.
yeah, and we will.
And what date is that going to be held?
It'll be part of this budget calendar here. They'll plug them in. It'll probably be one of the final presentations they do for the budget process, is presenting each individual department's budget.
Okay, and the department head will be presenting for their own department?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other requests? Discussion? If not, I have a couple. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. I am requesting an IRB report.
I am working on that. Andrew and I have been working
We're
on that all
working
week.
on that.
Okay, thank you. And then secondly, I have sent quite in about a number of questions in about CIP. And I know that you have said that you and Matt Lawn have been working on that. However, I would like to see involvement of the council before that's actually completely presented. And therefore, I'm requesting that we have a workshop prior to the 23rd meeting next time, because Matt Lawn is supposed to be here for the 23rd anyway. And if he's not able to be here at 6, you should be able to lead a CIP discussion.
Yeah,
with the
and
council
Mayor,
for the workshop.
if you and I can work on that, outside of the council meetings, our department heads have started on developing their CIP. Our police department has submitted theirs. We're currently waiting on Public Works.
Okay,
Public Works is doing an evaluation of all the streets in town. So
Okay.
if we need to put any of those
Great.
on there, we can, and we're waiting for that. So,
I would just like that to be set up as a separate workshop so that we have time for discussion. So whenever that's ready, that we are able to schedule a workshop time where we can have discussion with no decisions, and we can really thoroughly talk about it,
Yeah.
rather than it just being a presentation in the council meeting.
and you're right, that's an important part of the budget, and we will make sure that that happens.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. Anyone else? Okay, we do not have an executive session, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilmember Dwyer, second by Councilmember Baldridge. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you everyone for coming this evening.